on the back for
the interoperability,
for the great efforts we're making.
Yeah, we can do that again. I mean,
and I will, and I will hit that again. But let me go a little lower in the weeds first. In order to make any of this interoperability happen, it's all based on standards, technical interfaces, common understanding of how we need to structure our data and how we need to structure our systems in order to be able to achieve that interoperability. National Science and Technology Council, NSTC, has hosted a subcommittee on biometrics and identity management for some time now, and collaboratively we've agreed to what those standards should be, and NSTC has published a registry of recommended biometric standards for the U.S. government, and that was something that happened in this past year, which I think is very positive and is useful not just by our agencies but also by industry as they're building systems for us. So I think that was quite an accomplishment. Let me go back now to the interoperability thing. Interoperability is great. We need to have that. In order to achieve that, sometimes different agencies, and even just within the department, you have to align interests, and you can do that through some kind of common governance structure. Whereas I don't have a DoD identity manager as such. We don't have an interagency or U.S. government identity manager. But we do have collaborative governance structures for the different systems. And I'll again applaud Steve and Bob for what they've put in place, both within the FBI and DHS U.S. Visit Program. For example, established an interoperability executive steering committee. U.S. Visit Program, through which they invited both DoD, FBI to participate as full members and be able to share information and ensure, as we're going down a path, that we're all going down the same path, and whatever we're doing is mutually supportable and interoperable. Mentioned earlier that we're trying to achieve, or we'd like to achieve, this real-time connected interoperability amongst the different databases. We are connected to the FBI at the moment, as Bob mentioned earlier. We're not yet connected to DHS, but what we are doing is sharing data, and that has been difficult in the past, believe it or not.
But, sure, no, I understand. Trust me, I've been there, done that.
but we have developed workarounds through the structures that they've put in place in order to reach agreements on the kind of data that needs to be shared, and if necessary, we're physically cutting disks and getting in the car and driving over what Steve's organization or Bob's organization needs to have to work around until we accomplish that full-up data sharing capability. So we think we've made a lot of progress in the last year, from standards, from governance, from the actual technical exchange of information, and we're pretty pleased with the way things are going. And just to kind of demonstrate, well, firstly, our appreciation for what we've learned from the FBI. I mean, everything we've done in the past few years has really grown out of their efforts. But on his Center of Excellence, beyond data sharing and energy flying through wires and optic fibers and through RF energy through the sky and stuff, down to concrete, steel, and glass, perhaps for the first time, I think it might be for the first time, we're actually collaborating and joining in on their construction of their new Center of Excellence. DoD has transferred about $30 million to the FBI. We're buying a floor of their new facility once it's completed. And although we will retain our separate missions, what we will have is that day-to-day interface and collaboration to ensure you're not only building the technical interfaces and standards through which you can share, but you're also building those relationships to ensure that this gets cemented in the future. So we intend to move our biometrics enterprise onto their campus down in West Virginia, and we're actually going to reside on one of their floors. Wow.